What's my name, fool? I don't need you to justify my love, to justify my skin, to justify or mystify this human that I'm in. I don't need you to sanctify my purity or defend my security. I am invested in my surety. What's my name? I came already. Can you see me now? Can you see me? Can you feel me now? Can you feel me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you see me now? Can you see? What's my name for? I'm not your vessel for your shame game. Shame, 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 shame. I no longer hold the blame, yeah. What's my name? Shame, shame, shame. I'm not your vessel for your same game. Shame, 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 shame. I no longer hold the blame, yeah. What's my name? Shame, 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 shame. I'm not a victim of yours. Shame, 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 shame. I'm not a target for yours. Shame, 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 shame. I'm not a vessel for your shame. What's my name for?
Hi, Bridge City. Are you ready for the sex talk? Happy Sunday and welcome to our NSFW series. This is your weekly touch point for community, connection, and conversation. Now, wherever you're joining us from, whether it be the live, hey, or a local watch party, the global campus, or even catching this video on replay, we're truly glad you're here. Now, Bridge City's mission is simple. We're here to connect better, build better, and live better. And our values are clear. We're forward-thinking, people-centric, and life-affirming. And our why is at the heartbeat of it all. Everything we do revolves around the reality that people matter. This isn't a place for pretending certainty. It's a place for honest thinking, shared responsibility, and intentional connection. So if this is your first time here, welcome. You don't have to agree to everything, and you don't have to have it all figured out. You're here, and that's what matters. And of course, we hope this experience brings you back next week. Now, to all of our guests, we have a free gift for you. Think of it as a small token of our appreciation and a helpful tool for navigating connection in real time. Follow the link on screen now and claim your gift whenever you're ready. And if this is already home for you, Thank you for continuing to build with us. Community like the one we're building right now doesn't happen by accident. It happens because people like you choose connection over isolation whenever you show up. Okay, so now the big one. This series is called NSFW, and it's a little different than our usual series. Because sex, sexuality, intimacy, desire, shame, secrecy, consent, boundaries, rational complexity are not simple subjects. These are deeply personal. These concepts are shaped by memory, culture, religion, family, trauma, media, misinformation, and of course, your lived experience. For this series, we're not approaching the conversation from a posture of preaching or pretending. We're not going to pretend we have one neat answer that's going to fit everyone. With this series, we're creating a space for brave, honest, and non-judgmental conversation. We're asking what it means to understand our bodies, our boundaries, desires, histories. What do relationships mean beyond purity culture and patriarchal conditioning? Beyond the pop culture distortion and performative liberation. The goal isn't to sensationalize sex. The goal isn't to normalize it. And the goal is not to condemn everything. The goals are to become more mature, more humane, more self-aware, and more responsible in how we think about sexuality, intimacy, vulnerability, power, and harm. So before we get deep into it, let's take it over to the Bridge City News. There's a lot of growing, shifting, and unfolding, so I want you guys to all be in the loop. And in light of our NSFW series, I want to take a moment to shout out some of the amazing women in our community. Women who show up, contribute, support, encourage, women who make Bridge City feel like home. We see you, we appreciate you, and Bridge City is better because you're a part of it. Now, as you've heard, our global campus is under construction, and that's a good thing. Growth requires room, and we got some room to fill. We've officially launched our lobby, your one-stop shop for navigating the Bridge City experience. From there, you can find the Welcome Center, the Event Center, the Business Center, and more as we continue expanding our campus to support our growing community. So if you haven't yet, drop by, have a look around, see if anything interests you. Oh, and have you thought about hosting a watch party? Have you ever been watching a Sunday session and thought, I wish this was happening in my city? Well, a watch party might be that first step. Watch parties are small, in-person gatherings where friends, family, local community get together and watch Sunday sessions, have meaningful conversation, and build relationships around the mission and message of Bridge City. Visit the link on screen now to learn everything you need to start, host, and lead a watch party in your area. And don't think I forgot about our movie night. This month's feature will be Don't Look Up. The story is sharp, uncomfortable, and way too familiar. A story about science, denial, media spectacle, political cowardice, and what happens when people would rather protect their comfort than face reality. Feels like a story we all know a little bit. So if you enjoy movies that make you laugh, cringe, and make you question whether we're okay as a species, then this one's for you. I'm just thinking about that Dr. Farnsworth meme from Futurama. Zerno, can we get that?
Yeah, let me give it a shot. Hold on real quick.
6 months later.
Be sure to check out the event details on the global campus, and we hope to see you there. Now, let's talk about my favorite part of the community, our clubs. This month, we've launched 2 new clubs, our book club and our conventions and festivals club. First, let's talk about our book club. Whether you're a lifelong reader or someone who's finally getting a chance to tackle the stack on your nightstand, pull up a chair. This isn't a club where everyone has to read the same book at the same time. Think of it as a shared library corner where you can show us what you're reading, swap thoughts, share big ideas, talk about wild plot twists, and pass along the quiet lines that stuck with you. And then there's our Conventions and Festivals Club. This is a space for people who love major social events. Music festivals, fandom conventions, seasonal celebrations, cultural gatherings, and unforgettable experiences. Share where you've been, what you loved, what you learned, and maybe even drop some memorable photos from your adventures. As the community grows, this can also become a space where we imagine and organize gatherings of our own. Keep eyes out for Bridge City conventions. So whether you're reading a book, planning a trip, attending a festival, or dreaming up the next Bridge City meetup, there's a place and space for you to connect. And I see you, new members. Since the start of the year, over 117 people have joined Bridge City, and we could not be more excited. We know joining a new community, especially online, can be overwhelming. That's why we've been intentionally building a campus experience that helps orientate you, connect you, and make it easier to understand all that Bridge City is becoming. So if you haven't already, visit the new member area, complete your next steps, introduce yourself, and start making the most out of your member experience in your new community. At Bridge City, membership matters. Every new connection is a small step to a better world. And are you ready to get involved? Visit our Teams page to explore the growing number of opportunities that help you do the work of community. As we move from conceptual to operational, we need volunteers who are ready to be the bridge so people can see the vision. Volunteering isn't just about helping your community look good. It's how we empower the community to actually do good. Every volunteer helps expand our capacity to support members, build relationships, host events, create resources, and mobilize around our mission in real time. Visit the link on screen to explore opportunities to get involved. And if you don't see something that fits, be sure to reach out to our team. Every second Tuesday of the month is Giving Tuesday at Bridge City. Now you all know how we do things here. We don't collect tithes, we don't collect dues, and we don't use guilt as a motivator. But this community is sustained by regular, intentional generosity by people who believe this vision is worth building. So Giving Tuesday is about funding the freedom. It helps us keep showing up every Sunday, expanding the global campus, supporting new members. It helps us create the type of community where people can choose association over isolation. Now, we can't offer you a mansion in the afterlife in exchange for your gift. But what we can offer is continued community, expanding resources, and the collective power to change the world in real time. So if this mission matters to you, visit the link on screen and help us keep building. Your generosity is making this possible. Thank you for building with us. So that's about everything for this week. If you haven't yet, this is a perfect opportunity to share the stream before the conversation really starts. Let's do the YouTube things. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Oh, and once the stream is done, be sure to drop a comment below. As always, thank you for being the bridge. Now, Darante, take it away with today's conversation.
Thank you so much, Ashley, and just team. Like that was an incredible opening segment, man. Like that. I don't know if y'all heard the new song. If you got here early enough to hear the new song, wow. And make sure you come back next week for an even more enhanced version of it. It's just going to be incredible, man. I love everything that's happening with this community. I love the team that we're building. I love our members. It's incredible. Listen, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time being a part of one of our Sunday sessions, we have a gift for you and we want to get it to you. So again, if this is your first time here, we have a gift to you, and that we have a gift for you. And that link is on the screen now. And it's just our way of saying, hey, thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere today. You could be in your bed. You might be in your bed right now, but you still chose to spend a little time with us. And so we just wanted to say thank you. So you go ahead, and you get your gift. And for everybody else, including those first-time guests, let us know where you're watching from as you're coming in. We already, Bob has already let us know that Starkville is fairly represented this morning, or this evening, or this afternoon, wherever you are, this weekend, just to be safe. Let us know where you're watching from as you're coming in today. Also, just a little good news: we're still holding. Well, actually, we just moved into the quarterfinals for the Entrepreneur Impact Competition. So thank you all for your support for that. And again, I just want to reinforce, Indiana's in the building, that tonight is movie night. And so if you've never joined us for movie night before, you got to get there tonight. Tonight we're watching Don't Look Up. Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. Tyler Perry's in it. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson makes a cameo. Hey, you want to see this? It feels really close to home. Colorado is in the building. I saw that in our news segment that we highlighted book club this month, and so I wanted to just shout out a book that I'm reading. This was sent to me by Dr. Bob, and it's Whispers in the Pews: Evangelical Uniformity in a Divided America by Amy D. McDowell. I've gotten almost halfway through it, and it's been an excellent read. One of my firm beliefs is that readers are leaders, or you can say leaders are readers. So if you've been looking for something to read, that is a great recommendation. Okay, y'all, we're starting a new series today. It's a new month, which means it's a new series, which means it's a new conversation. And this conversation is NSFW. We're going to be talking about sex, dating, and unlearning the script. And it's become apparent to me, because we live in a world where everybody is not the same. Everybody's not been exposed to the same language, that everybody doesn't even know what NSFW means. And actually, and it's even bigger than that. Some people may think one thing and other people may think another thing. So let's kind of get a little bit of a definition, a little bit of an explanation. NSFW can be not safe for work. I mean, like if you get an email that says NSFW, don't open that, or you might be about to lose your job based off of the inappropriate sounds and images that are about to invade your space. But it can also be not suitable for work. And that, you know, as a hermeneutician, I don't know if that's the word, as a hermeneutician, I'm gonna put it that way. That's fascinating to me, because like, ooh, I wonder what's the difference between safety and suitability, you know? But then I saw another one as our head of community was doing her thing. Her background said not safe for weak minds. And I was like, oh, damn. So in all honesty, this conversation, this whole series, every weekend in the month of May, we're going to be talking about things that are not safe or not suitable for work, but also not maybe suitable for weak minds, however you want to define it. So I want to give you a little bit of information as we move forward. The objective of the NSFW series is to create a brave, honest, non-judgmental conversation space where people can examine sex, sexuality, intimacy, desire, shame, secrecy, consent, boundaries, and relational complexity beyond purity culture, patriarchal conditioning, religious guilt, pop culture distortion, and performative liberation. All right. Rather than preaching a fixed sexual ethic, all right, that's what we're going to avoid here. This series invites participants to think critically, speak carefully, listen compassionately, and explore how sexual norms shape identity, relationships, power, vulnerability, and harm. The goal is not to sensationalize sex. It's not to normalize everything, nor is it to condemn everything, but it's to help people develop more mature, humane, self-aware, and responsible ways of understanding their bodies, their boundaries, their desires, their histories, and their relationships. So this is going to be a 4-week moderated conversation series designed to explore the deeply personal, socially complicated, and often shame-loaded realities of human sexuality. Because sex is never just about sex, each week we're going to examine a different layer of the conversation. The stories we inherited, the secrecy we normalize, the boundaries we blur, and the shame we weaponize. This series is going to be drawing from lived experience, social science, post-religious reflection, cultural commentary, and secular humanist ethics to ask better questions about sexual life beyond superstition. This series intentionally shifts away from a traditional teaching format. My role as the host in this is not primarily preacher, lecturer, or moral authority. No, let's get rid of all of that from day one. My goal is to be a moderator, a witness, and a social commentator. The emphasis is on opening space, guiding reflection, naming harm, reducing shame, and inviting people into more honest conversation. I hope y'all are ready for this. At its heart, NSFW asks, what would it look like to talk about sex? Let's talk about sex, baby. What would it look like to talk about sex? Let's talk about you and me. What would it look like to talk about sex in a way that is honest without being reckless, vulnerable without being invasive, liberated, without being predatory, and moral without being moralistic? All right. So week one's objective is to examine how people learn about sex from three powerful but often unreliable teachers. Purity culture, pornography, and pop culture. Okay. This weekend, we're exploring how these sources shape expectations, shame, performance, desire, body image, consent, and sexual self-understanding. Now, this is a conversation that we are having together. If you do me a favor, go ahead and type that in the chat. This is a conversation that we're having together. I'm going to be resisting the urge throughout this whole series. I'm going to be resisting the urge to teach, to preach, to monologue, other than the introductory monologue that I just did to set the pace. No, this is a conversation that we're going to be having together. My aim is to prioritize interaction over instruction and shared experience over expertise. So hear me clearly. This series only works if you're showing up to share, okay? This series only makes sense if you're showing up to share. Like if you got to be here to participate. You how do they say it? You got to have some skin in the game. Okay, we're going to need your participation. I know Escape said is what I need from you is understanding, but in this situation, no, I don't need your understanding. Your understanding was for the last series. For this series, I'm gonna need your participation. To ironically pull a quote from Purity Culture, if you're willing to show, you must be willing to share. But no, in all seriousness, if we're going to effectively break the shackles of shame, we're going to have to learn how to pull the sex conversation out of the shadows without throwing shade. And so over the next few weeks, we're going to go through four major topics. The first one is safe sex, which is what we're opening up with today. I was going to name this Debbie Does Dallas. And then I was like, maybe that's just too much. Maybe that's Darante, you're doing too much. Now, some people are like, who the hell is Debbie? But I know some of y'all with your trifling self. You know who Debbie is. But no, I'm just playing. So I was going to name this Debbie Does Dallas, but I reserved myself. I practiced reservation. And so we're just going to name this one Safe Sex. But then next week, we're going to be having a conversation called You're My Little Secret, where we're going to be exploring the spectrum. Oh, yeah. Debbie was famous, wasn't she? We're going to be exploring the spectrum of infidelity and pluralism. Okay. And then after that, we're going to be going into a conversation of blurred lines. All right. where we're going to be talking about boundaries. We're going to be talking about patriarchy. And then we're going to be talking about predatory and performative behavior. And then we'll close out before going into a panel conversation with a conversation on shame. You know, I might have Tyrese singing that weekend. I don't know. But shame, which will be dealing with the weaponization of sexual norms and identity, interactions, and intercourse. All right. So we're gonna try to keep this environment as safe as possible. So speaking of which, this is a great place. Just again, drop today's title. And if you missed it, you know what it is? Safe sex. Okay. Safe sex. All right. Now, so before I jump into this, I want to do something different because I told y'all, I've been telling y'all, safe sex. That's what it is. Safe sex. I've been telling y'all that I want this to be more interactive than instructional, right? So we're going to be using polls today, not that kind of poll. Get your mind out the gutter, okay? We're going to be using polls today to help keep us interactive, and then we're also going to be using some survey questions that allow you to answer anonymously. So for those that you're watching, if you see this little QR code right here above me, look, I got it right, perfect. If you see that QR code for some of the questions, and I'll let you know when we have those questions, you're going to scan that QR code if you want to participate. If you want to participate anonymously, you're going to scan that QR code, and then you'll be able to input your answers to whatever question we're on there. And that's only for the interactive questions. So, and I'll let you know when we're there, but I'm just letting you know, even though we're not there yet, I'm just letting you know. But then also, we're going to have poll questions, and these will be questions that you'll be able to answer in the chat. And the way you'll be able to do this is we'll have a question pop up that looks a little bit like that. Do y'all see that question over here? Does everybody see that? Let me know in the chat if you're seeing this question. If you see this question in the chat, this is what our poll questions are going to look like. And we're going to be running this throughout the entire series. So go ahead and get your fingers all loosey-goosey and get ready for this. Hips, lips, and fingertips, as they say. So, all right, this is where you're going to put your, this is where you're going to interact with the polls. And this is a test poll, but let's see if we get how it works. So if the way you answer the polls is whichever number corresponds with your answer, see, some of y'all getting it already. Whichever number corresponds with your answer, that's what you type in. So the question is, do you understand how this works? Right now, we have 100% of people who understands. We have one person who we have. Let me see, what is it? Okay. It's going back and forth. It's going back and forth. 4 people who understand, 1 person who doesn't understand, but yet was still able to vote. So I'm just going to say you were testing it out because, hey, you did it right. You pressed the right one. So no, I love y'all. Thank you. All right. So that's how that's going to work. Okay. So we're going to be doing this. So y'all got it. I haven't scared you off yet. Have I? Have I scared you off? I'm going to hide that. I'm going to stop that one. You can no longer vote on that one. It's gone. It's gone because now we got to get into the serious conversation. Look at her. I love it. I love the participation. I love the participation. Dang it. Was I on the wrong side of the screen? Okay, here we go. So today we're talking about safe sex, and the term safe sex has evolved from a vague, often moralistic 1970s concept into a very nuanced harm reduction strategy in the 2020s. Transitioning from solely barrier methods, barrier methods keep things from getting what they not supposed to be getting while you putting things in places where they not supposed to be. Barrier methods to a broader definition that includes pharmaceutical prevention. The terminology has also shifted towards safer sex, which I really like, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we get into it, but reflecting the understanding that no sexual activity with a partner is entirely devoid of risk. So the primary focus of safe sex talk has historically been pregnancy management, STI prevention, and purity preservation. Like I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, a little bit of the early 2000s, and that was the main conversation around safe sex, is that the idea of, not being the idea of practicing safe sex, which of course, if you were in the Bible Belt, safe sex meant abstinence. you know. But the goal was pregnancy management. You don't want people to get pregnant outside of marriage. STI prevention. You don't want to get blue waffles. How many of y'all got the blue waffle speech? You know, and then purity preservation. You know, you want to save that for your one true love, whatever the hell that is, right? And so which this kind of leads us to our first chat conversation. And so in this one, you can answer directly in the chat. But what did safe sex mean to you when you were first introduced to the concept? And I'm very interested to see your responses here. This one is not a poll question. This one is just in the chat. What did safe sex mean to you when you were first introduced to the concept? And again, for me, it was very, very straightforward. Safe sex, number one, meant abstinence. I was a part of I didn't know it was the purity culture yet that I was being kind of groomed in, but it was this idea that there is no such thing as safe sex except for no sex until you get married. Jalapeno. But then wearing condoms, wearing condoms, birth control, some of these things come in there. And again, all of those are with those that pregnancy management, which was such a big thing. Now I remember. Now I'm just I got to get naked first before other people feel comfortable. But that actually makes other people uncomfortable. Okay, let me stop. All right, so I'll be a little transparent here. Like I was sexually active at a very, very, very young age, and then of course I got saved, and so I was trying to live right, live right. And it was very hard to live right. But there was only one person who ever got through to me that made me want to reconsider my sexual activities. And it had nothing to do with pregnancy management. It had nothing to do with STI prevention or purity preservation. This kind of expanded the definition of safe sex for me. He said, listen, bruh, and this was an older minister. He's one of my first mentors, but he said, he says, I have 5 kids and none of them can look at me in my face and call me daddy. And I was like, ooh, I don't want that. That made me want to change the way that I approach the situation. Infection, pregnancy prevention. I see that. Simple. It was simple. No explanations. Don't bring no babies in my house. It went so deep that I got prayed over to break a generational curse of teen pregnancy, and I wasn't even having sex. LOL. Tell me how that works. You see, and this is why this conversation is so valuable. Let's see, abstinence or at least condoms when I went into puberty, but then in late 10 years, purity culture struck. Condoms are cheaper than diapers. I do remember hearing that. What you say? And so, man, so we're getting somewhere. I'm loving the fact that y'all are so interactive because that makes this work. You and your partner get tested before, yes, and that was like some of the more healthier talk, which with the dawn of talk show and reality television featuring shows like 16 and Pregnant, it elevated the economic responsibility aspect of the conversation. And that's what we're kind of hearing a little bit now. And that's what you hear where we're moving from pregnancy management. We're moving from just, hey, save yourself for the perfect person because you owe them your sexual experience for whatever reason. It moves beyond that into, hey, babies is expensive, and life is hard, And so when with shows like 16 and Pregnant, like people, it really elevated the economic responsibility aspect of the conversation. And this was a surprisingly necessary pivot to shift the conversation out of the hands of the moral majority into the hearts of public opinion. Because, and this is just from my viewpoint, for so long, the sex talk was governed by faith-based thinkers. It was governed by what was called the moral majority at the time. These are the people who had all of the good talks about, sex and how you shouldn't be doing it. These were the people who came up with the promise rings, which were creepy. Okay, I just want to be the first one to say it. It was creepy. Promise rings were creepy. But these were also the people who were leading all of these teen pregnancy programs where they'd march out these young girls who had gotten pregnant while teenagers and took them to schools almost like as like scared unpregnant type of thing. It's like scared abstinent. Is that like, you know what I'm saying? It was like they were trying to scare these kids abstinence by bringing some poor 17-year-old up who, had a child at 16, and now she gets to tell you how bad, life is or whatever. And at the end of it, they say, "No, and this is why you owe your dad your virginity." And it's just like, whoa. But that is what happens when you let the conversation stay in the hands of the people who are following the Bronze Age manual. You're gonna get Bronze Age advice. It was pretty bad. Those things were embarrassing. I always felt bad for the young ladies, and it was very interesting because they never trotted out the young men that way, which is how you knew it was coming from the moral majority, the church world, because in the church world, that's often how it works. Two people have a baby, one person can show that they're having a baby, so that's the only person who bears the sin bears the stain of the sin. But when 16 and pregnant, which I'm not a fan of the show, not a fan. I'm talking about this from a sociological perspective. When 16 and pregnant came out and had all of those spinoffs and teen moms, it yanked the conversation out of the hands of the moral majority and put it right back into the hearts of public opinion. Okay? Because 16 and pregnant acted as a form of cultural sex education that contributed to a significant decline in U.S. teen birth rates by highlighting the harsh realities, economic responsibility of teen parenthood, prompting increased public media and online discussion about contraception and sexual consequences. The show helped spark a decline in teen pregnancies and boosted interest in information about contraception, providing an alternative to traditional and often ineffective abstinence-only programs. Because a lot of those abstinence-only programs focused on what? What you owe your husband and what you owe God. It had nothing to do with, what you owe yourself. I'm gonna get out of preacher mode. But that was just too good to no. A lot of the old safe sex talk, a lot of the old abstinence talk was solely based on what you owe your parents, what you owe your oh no, yeah, damn. It's what you owe your parents, it's what you owe your future partner, and it's what you owe God. It was rarely based in what you owe yourself. And then you had to watch those shows, especially if you were a young person and you're like, oh, that is not glamorous at all. And fuck what I owe my parents. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be cussing on Sundays, but forget what I owe them. I need I need to make better decisions for my life, or I need to make different decisions for my life. And so then for the first time, people were able to approach to be able to add the economic aspect into the safe sex conversation. Now, over the past few years, I like that. Abstinence is safe, self-hate. I ain't mad at it. Over the past few years, social educators of various cultural backgrounds have been pushing to expand the conversation of safe sex into emotional maturity, experiential autonomy, and expressed consent. All right. So, and that's actually where I kind of live when I think about safe sex. Now, I think about emotional maturity. I think about experiential autonomy, like I don't have any control over anybody else's experience. And I also think about express consent. So instead of just latex and labs, safe sex, or at least the conversation of safe sex, has evolved into the realm of emotional and psychological safety. Okay, so with that, this leads me to my next chat question, and this is one that you're going to answer in the chat. We're just getting the wheels primed a little bit, so this is one you're going to answer in the chat. What does safe sex mean to you now? Now we talked about, we started with how was safe sex introduced to you? What did it mean to you when it was introduced to you? As a person who has now experienced life, and we all know that life be lifing, what does safe sex mean to you now? And I want you to think about that, not just about protecting your body, not just about, not having babies, but I'm talking about what does safety mean to you now? All right. Is safety is safety just that I don't get sick? Is safety just that I don't add another liability to my life? What else does safe mean to you? I love it. I'm grown now. It don't exist. It grows out of a loving relationship, consensual activities between mature adults, and it may still have the outcome of the church. You better say that now. It means innocence not untouched in the original scroll. Okay, yeah. Safety is in knowledge. Safe sex is therefore safe when everyone knows all of the details of the procedure, trust each other, and enthusiastically agrees with sex at hand. I like that. Physical and psychological and relational safety, enthusiastic consent, awareness, and mutual acceptance of any risks you choose to take. Come on. Safe sex equals y'all are in here today. Come on in here, man. Ooh, safe is not random. Shararaba, jalapeno, habanero. Like, yes, like I hope, like, man, y'all are preaching in the chat. This is some good stuff. And do you notice how experience changes our definition of safety? One of the things that we see that I'm seeing in a lot of the answers, seeing a through line here, is enthusiastic consent. Oh, that's so good. Gambling has never been safe. And I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, but like it's so good because like the more you grow, the more you experience life, then what's safe becomes such a bigger word for you. But that enthusiastic consent is such a great call out, because we have seen the safe sex conversation move into open communication and consent, and those two go hand in hand. I think one of the most dangerous things that we got from purity culture, and it's just from a person who's had to sit through the counseling sessions and stuff like that, is watching women in patriarchal purity culture type churches lose like the autonomy, the right, and the responsibility to communicate where what they wanted sexually, and us not realizing how that negatively impacts consent. And so then you're grooming one part of the relationship, and that still feels so outdated. One part of the relationship, one party in the relationship to be enthusiastic about it, and the other party in the relationship to always be kind of quiet and nonchalant about it. And we don't realize how we've created these very predatory and performative cultures. It's like, no, we created the recipe. And so like a big issue in today's culture is helping us understand that open communication is the responsibility of all parties involved. But we also have to create a culture that we have to now create a culture that prioritizes, and this is me as a cisgender dude, I guess, is we do have to be mindful that we've taken women's voices in a lot of ways. And so we have to create space. We have to cultivate space that says, hey, say what you want, say what you don't want. And we got to create that freedom. When you grow up in this stuff, condoms and birth control meant you were having sex and you were trying to not have babies, but it also gave this undertone of being able to be random. That's so good. That's so good. So this open communication aspect is a big part of safe sex, proactively discussing sexual history. But if body count is attached to shame, how open are people going to be willing to be? And then when you realize that body count for one of the parties is a trophy, and then body counts for another part of the parties is considered shameful culturally, then how do you even have open communication? No, we have to create the environment for open communication. And the environment for open communication requires there to be we got to be able to have this conversation with no shame. In order for all parties involved, however many parties you got involved, next week will be the pluralism conversation, infidelity and pluralism. Those are the different spectrums, however you want to see that, extremes on that spectrum. But we have to be able to have that open communication, being able to proactively discuss sexual history, STI status, and boundaries, ensuring that consent is clear, enthusiastic, and ongoing. Like, have y'all ever realized, like, what this is something that people got the right to change their mind in the middle. Consent has to be ongoing. Consent has to be ongoing. Yes. The other, shame for the lack of performance. Absolutely. The shame cuts everywhere. Everybody's pain doesn't have to be my pain in order for that pain to be valid. We all got pain. Who said men have to be bees and only women can be birds? I've never understood where these rules come from. Sometimes when people tell me, like, well, men should do this, and I'm like, where are you getting that rule from? Or women should be this. Where are you getting these rules from? And again, it's those rules, those unspoken rules, that often makes it difficult for us to be open in our communication. Because then it's like, oh, well, what are they going to say about me if I've done this, or what are they going to say about me if I'm the type of person who doesn't like this? Ooh. And that's, again, this is I think we have to, and I've kind of talked about this before, I think we have to stop thinking that we're experts in everybody else's humanity. And this is something that we do as a species. We're like, no, everybody wants this, everybody likes this, everybody like a simple thing. Everybody wants to be hugged. Not everybody does want to be hugged. I've met some people who don't want to be hugged. But we don't realize that when we do those things, even though we're not being malicious, we are creating a paradigm that dehumanizes other people who don't human the way that you human. So well, they don't want hugs. Something must be wrong with them. Who hurt you? It's that type of thing. And sure, that may be some of that there, but there's also the possibility that none of that is there. So no, I love this. Treat people the way they want to be treated. Ooh, I love that, Shell. Safe is being responsible. People choose right and wrong based entirely on their religion, which can be drastically different from the next religious person's opinion of love and sex. Perfect example that God is just you. Yes. Man. See, look, you have dislike hugs or touch without consent on my part. Like, and that's the thing. That's where that open communication. And see, do you see how that already opens the boundaries, opens the parameters of safe sex to a much larger conversation, while open communication becomes good? Because I grew up in a world, I'm just going, I'm giving my age. I grew up in a world where little boys got together and kind of told each other what to do with women. You know what I'm saying? This is what all the girls like. You got to do this right here. You got to go. Like in Sinners, they kind of gave a little scene like that where he's telling this is what you want to do. And what that does is it creates an environment where you've defined what this other human being wants, what this other human being likes, what this other human being desires, without actually asking them. And of course, the whole idea is because I want to show up and be the person with all the answers. I want to show up and be the person who's experienced and smooth. And in playing all of these swag games, we've lost our ability to communicate, which just statistically have led people to being sexually unsatisfied in the bedroom because ain't nobody talking. Ain't nobody talking. Man. And ain't nobody exempt. That's right. Which brings me to the second part about the way of what safe sex means now. So we know the open communication and the consent part, which means it's gotten to a broader conversation. And again, going back to that open communication, one part of that open communication in the safe sex aspect is protection or not, contraception or not. A part of that, again, that economic response. Can we afford to have kids or not? If we don't work out, like what happens after that? That's a very important question to determine whether we want to go get those condoms or not. Like, it's a very important question. Okay, so but this other part is understanding risk. Okay, it's understanding risk, recognizing that all sexual activity, all of it, and that's what purity culture oversimplified. Purity culture convinced people that if you just wait for the right person and you lose your virginity on your wedding night, everything is gonna be a-okay. Like nothing is gonna, and it's like, no, that's an oversimplification. So no, it's recognizing that all sexual activity carries some risk. So safer is a more accurate term than safe. Ooh, and that's actually just I like the idea of safer over safe, because then we're destroying that promise. The wedding night trap. Yes. We're destroying that promise. We're getting that for lack of better words, that childish, that immature, that superstitious promise that there is a way for me to do this that guarantees that I won't get hurt. Damn it, this is too good. See, that's why I like the term safer. We're getting rid of that superstition. It's not that it might not ever be possible, but as of now, the parameters of our ignorance are still significant enough where there is no way to engage this and guarantee that there's not going to be any disappointment. Okay, there's no way that we can guarantee that you can engage in this and not get some disease, something new may pop up. Can you imagine when AIDS hit and people are like, what, I'm gonna die? Like, no, all sexual activity carries some risk. And we're not just talking about physical risk, we're talking about emotional risk, psychological risk. We're talking about social risk. Yes, you could be sleeping with somebody who has a crazy baby mama who could show up at your house at 3 o'clock in the morning with hatchets at your tires. Yes, all sexual activity carries some risk. And so safer is a better term. Oh man. Risk is never impossible in relationships. That belongs on a t-shirt. Risk is never impossible in relationships. However, we can take steps to mitigate that and make it safe enough to where we're comfortable with it. Absolutely. All right. So week one is our foundation conversation, right? Before talking about infidelity, before talking about boundaries, secrecy, or shame, we start with formation. Most people did not receive a healthy, nuanced, age-appropriate, emotionally intelligent sexual education. Instead, they learned through fear, they learned through silence, they learned through sermons, jokes, music videos, yes, porn, yes, locker rooms, yes, church teachings. I didn't really trust those. Gossip, trauma, and a whole lot of trial and error, So this week, our goal is to unpack the competing sexual scripts that people inherit, which leads us to our first real poll question of the day. And I'm going to get this poll activated. It is on the screen as we speak. And y'all already demonstrated that y'all know how this works. So y'all get to jumping in there when you can. Which culture most impacted your introduction to sex? All right. Was it purity culture? That's the first one. Was it porn culture? That's the second one. Was it pop culture? You know, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Or was it all three equally? Okay. When you look back over your life, which of these cultures most impacted your introduction to sex? And I'm gonna come back over here and watch the chat too, because I want to see as this jumped in. Was it purity culture? Was it porn culture? Was it pop culture? I'm seeing quite a few people. It's like, oh, it's all three of them. It was, which shows the hodgepodge of information that we kind of live in. Isn't it wild that you can live in a society where you are simultaneously impacted by purity culture and porn culture? Like that's amazing to me. Like just both of them at the same time. At the same time. I see this. I see. So, and it looks like it's tied between, at this moment, it's tied between purity culture and all three. Oh, nope. All three just took the lead again. All three just took the lead. An unhealthy obsession of biology, learned the mechanics of decades before before ever engaging. Fire and ice. None of the above. Oh my goodness. I should have did a survey question for this so we can get some extra answers. If you don't mind sharing, please share in the chat. Oh man. All right. So purity culture and all of the above are lined back up, or they're back in it. But it shows you how diverse our experiences are when we're being introduced to this, right? So you can see for some, it was porn culture. Like, no, this is the thing that's leading me. Another none of the above. Okay, I'm gonna want to see those alternative answers in here. You know how I say alternative facts? I'm gonna want to see those alternative answers in the chat if you're comfortable sharing. If not, I might have to just make up another way. I might have to add this question to the other poll. This is so good. Highly forceful in our society. Church and college, man. Yeah, church was like the lock-ins were something serious, bro. Like I don't know why parents were letting their kids go to church lock-ins. I'm like, do you not know what goes down at a church lock-in? It goes down in the lock-ins. It's like that. It's like that. Oh my goodness. Okay, see, that's amazing. All right, and so purity culture often teaches, and you let me know if this hit. They say a hit dog a holla. Purity culture often teaches that sex is dangerous, dirty, and identity defining, unless sanctioned by marriage. We got more all of the above, unless sanctioned by marriage. That was actually one of my biggest concerns after I started deconverting, especially as a person who was studying social sciences at the time, is that, we've actually, in many communities, effectively reduced marriage to the legal right to have sex. So many people who are getting married are only getting married to have sex with no inclination of anything partnership related. You know, I just wanted to be able to have sex. And that's what purity culture does. It teaches that sex is dangerous, it is dirty, and it is identity defining unless it is sanctioned by marriage. Man, summer camps? Hell yeah, them summer camps, man. Gospel skating night? Dang, not gospel skating night. And yes, it does count. Yes, it absolutely. I think Chance the Rapper and Justin Bieber did a song together called Juke Joint. And like, we used to skate at the rink, we used to them in the rink, hey. And I don't remember the rest of it, but it was something about feeling on your booty in there. They was hitting some R. Kelly lyrics in there because, bruh, skate night. Dang, this is so wild. High school theater club. You know, as someone who was a theater geek and a band geek and a vocal music club geek, no lies detected. All right. Dang. This is wild. The question is, which culture most impacted your introduction to sex? Purity, porn, pop, or all three? And if it's none of the above, drop it in the chat. Let us know in the chat what for lack of better words, what popped your cherry of interest? Okay, what popped your cherry of interest? Drama club for sure, man. Like, hey, bruh, your kids ain't safe. Okay, your kids ain't safe. As a matter of fact, I remember. I think I was in Will Rogers Follies, and this is high school, and I missed my call to stage. I don't call time because of stuff that I shouldn't have been doing according to purity culture. But missed my call time, and oh my goodness, this one time at band camp. The poll is on the screen. To answer it, you just put in your number, the number that corresponds with the answer that you see. All right, so the purity culture aspect. How many of you identified, for those of you that were impacted by purity culture, and that seems to be quite a few. That seems to be quite a few, because we got 42% for purity culture alone, and then 42% with all three, all of the above. So like, oh dang, and purity culture just hit again. Come on now. For purity culture, how much of that made you feel that your sexual interest or your sexual identity was dirty or dangerous? Because like this was definitely a big issue, especially among young men in more charismatic circles. Like you couldn't even play with yourself without feeling like you done broke God's heart. Like, you look at that, you touching yourself and just breaking God's heart, which does make God a little weird. I mean, yeesh, that's a little. Number one, why you looking? What you doing in my room? Sitting up in my room. Like, well, why are you here? Thank you. Purity culture, they made a movie about my life. Oh, snap. Through camp experiences where my parents weren't. Wow. Purity culture impacted my awareness of just how gay I actually was. I got married and had kids and everything, which locked us both into a super unhealthy relationship. Yes, I've seen a lot of that. And yes, Elaine, God is definitely the first peeping Tom. Like, I mean, y'all remember, and like, I'm not trying to go into my little anti-God mode, but he kicked people out because they didn't like his naked garden parties. Okay. Like y'all say that he kicked them out because they ate the fruit. No, he kicked them out because they put clothes on. And he's like, this is a naked garden party. Everybody in here has to be naked. Okay, I'm gonna stop tripping. So that purity culture definitely leads to a lot of things. Like I don't know how many of you are like into like stuff like Law and Order, SVU, just that type of level of criminal science or whatnot. But you will be surprised at how many SVU level crimes are committed in links to purity culture ideology. That's not in my notes. It's just something I wanted to wanted to put out there. He kicked them out because they could judge him morally. Yes, it's naked garden parties. And apparently Jesus also liked his naked garden parties, because it was when he was at the Garden of Gethsemane when they saw the young man running out naked. But everybody want to skip that over. I mean, at that moment, that's when Jesus really is his daddy's boy. Okay, I'm gonna stop. So purity culture, that's what we're supposed to be talking about, which it looks like purity culture has jumped into the lead now. It attaches these ideas that your sexual identity is dangerous, is dirty, or that anything that you do sexually is identity defining. So if you touch yourself, this defines your identity. If you like people of the same sex, this defines your identity. If you like to do different things, sexually, like fellatio, or cunnilingus, or is there a scientific word for anal? Like, I don't know. Like, if there is, I haven't heard it, but all of these other different things. If you are interested in multiple partners, something is wrong with you. Yeah. Purity culture attaches all of these moralistic framings to things that you haven't even got. Buttalingus. I am. Oh my goodness. You weren't supposed to type that. You're not supposed to type that. I'm done. How do you come back from that? Oh, snap. Analingus? Yeah, that's. Hoy. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. This is, okay. Google for the win. Google for the win. That's, see, when I was growing up, it was just called butt stuff. Like that's what I've heard in movies and stuff like that. Oh man. But like you have entire see, these are real tears, y'all. These are real tears. You have entire generations of people who don't know how to feel about themselves or who have locked themselves into a script they inherited because their identity is so much defined. I'm not looking at the chat anymore. I'm not. I set myself up for this. I said this was not safe for work, and like, yikes! I'm supposed to be at work right now, man. So let me move on from purity culture. Blue Oyster Club. Oh my goodness. Porn often teaches, not necessarily teaches, but we often learn from porn that sex is performative, consumptive, exaggerated, and detached from emotional complexity. And there is some emotional complexity there. And okay, this one, like, there is a performative aspect to sex, right? Like there is a performative aspect, but that's one of those places where we're not having the open communication. Dang, this is good. It's hard for me to bounce back from the chat. And then, of course, pop culture just gives these entirely contradictory messages. Be desirable, but not too sexual. Be experienced, but don't be ran through. Be liberated, but still be marketable now. Be masculine, be feminine, be submissive, be dominant, be hot, be available, be mysterious, and be in control and try to do all of this at once. Yeah. Oh, I like that. It's a mutual performance. Look at the courtship dances. That is what they're. Which I've gone to some of the like the debutante balls and stuff, and I thought they were weird when I was growing up. I didn't get it, but that's because I grew up as a poor kid. We didn't do the courtship dances. We played hide and go get it. Or house. How many of y'all played house growing up? Badass kids. I know you did. I know you played house. What was hide and go? This should have been a survey question. What was hide and go get it called when you were growing up? What was hide and go get it called in your neighborhood? Did you have a hide and go get it in your neighborhood? Was that a game that y'all frequented? It's like hide and seek, but not, you know? Okay. And so birds do the same thing. Oh, they do. Yeah, I played some house now. House was I think quite a few of us have gotten some whoopings over house. All right. You go into some people's stories and you're gonna you're gonna learn some things. 5 minutes in the closet. That's right. Yeah. What, 7 minutes in heaven? Spin the bottle. Truth or dare has gotten me into quite a few quite a few situations that I was trying to get in. You know, the church bus. Like, oh man, like, the stories I have to tell about the church bus. The stories I have to tell about the church bus. Hide and go get it was still around in the mid 2010s. Hey, that's a real one right there. Oh, snap. Oh. There was a signal. That is so funny. Oh, snap. But hey, the lock-ins I went to. Okay, so now we're to our first interactive question, and we're gonna put this on the screen for you. And this is, what did purity culture, porn, or pop culture teach you that you now question? And for this one, we're gonna do a little different. I'm gonna take my poll off the screen, and we're gonna stop that one. Yoink. And I'm gonna hide it for now because I want to share my screen. And this is, we already got some people answering. Dang, I was not expecting that. But what did purity culture, porn, or pop culture teach you that you now question? And this is going to take some thinking. This is going to take some thought. But if you would like to answer this question anonymously, you can do so by visiting the link or the QR code on the screen. And let me come over here. Learned about sex from the places that was trying not to teach. Ain't that wild? That we did get more learning about sex from the places that was trying to keep us from it. Caught in the pews at their church. Man. Oh, snap. So what you can scan the QR code, you can visit the link and put in the code. And once you get there, you can add your questions. And I'm gonna biggie size my screen here. Not your questions, but your answers. The question is, what did purity culture, porn, or pop culture teach you that you now question? And this one, that all women have vaginal orgasms. They don't. Oh man. And somebody put one, and maybe they didn't mean to do that, but it's there. We got 2 out of 8. So there's 8 people in there. So we got some more responses that are coming. I'm very interested in seeing them. I want to see y'all thoughts on the all women don't have all women vaginal orgasms. This would be a great time to have a sex expert in the house. Ooh, that's so good. Playing House exposed how aggressive fathers really act behind closed doors, just mimicking what we saw. Yeesh. Come on now. All right, we got another answer pop in. Purity culture, the idea that you saying no was bad in some way. Wow, that's good. That's good. And oh man, because I have come across that in my work that there are people who have a really hard time saying no, thinking that saying no somehow means something other than just no. It just means no. And you were like, I encourage people to practice their no's more loudly, more assertively. I tell people your yeses should build you and your no's should shield you. And so whenever you're kind of in a place like, should I say yes or should I say no? How does this build me? If this doesn't build me, why am I giving this a yes? I love this. I'll just find myself in sexual situations just coincidentally. That's weird. That was the majority of my younger life, and I was a big boy, so it was really weird that I was always finding myself in sexual predicaments. I'm like, how this just happen? Well, look at us both just here. Now let me stop. But I've deconstructed a lot, but now really unraveling what makes me so codependent, which is taught all over pop culture. Oh my goodness, you are so right there. And that doesn't just impact our sexual relationships. I think that impacts all of our relationships. Like I used to be really, really loud and angry when I'm upset, like that type of person. And I had to, like, if my heart was broken, like I had to go down on bended knee. I had to do like the whole tantrum. No, why are you doing this? And then one day, like I asked myself, like, dude, why are you doing all of this? And it was like there's a still small voice in my head. It was like, because I'm supposed to. You've seen the movies. You've seen the shows. When a father really wants their kids, they got to go all out or they're going to be considered a deadbeat dad. And, so much of the way we respond to our parents, to our children, to our partners, to our friends is often shaped by the media that we programmed ourselves with. To be secret and sneaky because everyone was lying. That is definitely one that I was taught. That's a good one. Yep. Just go ahead and be sneaky. Because damn it, I was sneaky. That penis was so powerful, it changed women once you had it. But I've learned women are actually more powerful. That is, like that's one I haven't heard in a while, one that I did not expect to see. But no, that's a real thing. It's like, yeah, like that D changer, this is, I didn't expect this. And this is why this is an open, interactive conversation. This is the whole point of conversations like this. Oh man. For once, we like to see a movie that presents two people as just not really being good for each other and taking steps to be more platonic and actually to support each other's it's instead I can't get my words out, each other's growth instead of, I got the end of it as KIS, but yeah, I think that's where it ended at. But no, like this is real stuff. This is when I dropped purity culture and learned more about intelligent matriarchal animals, I realized that patriarchy is BS. Yes. Oh man, treat it like a prize or a gift that you should never give away. Yet they were all giving it away for free. Man, I remember one of my mentors, and I'll shout him out because I'm not embarrassing him, but his name was Dr. R.A. Vernon. And the older women in this church was coming and, always trying to snitch on the younger women in this church who was still sexually active. Like, hey, I think Sister Rubinell down there getting her back knocked out. And he ended up talking about it from the pulpit one day. He's like, sometimes I wonder how much of this is jealousy. I wonder if you coming to me to tell me about what Sister Mary doing because ain't nobody in your cobwebs. And I was like, oh, but no. So, okay, it look like we got a few more answers here. Let me jump in. Oh, man. Sex makes you an adult. Oh, wow. That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, dang. Y'all are giving real answers. That derogatory words like, are not warranted and should never be used. The word is dehumanizing. In reality, people who have more quantity usually have better quality. Oh, that's so good. Oh, all right. I think I have to make this smaller because it's not letting me. Oh, that's the wrong screen anyway. So I just did that for no reason. Let me see if I can do this over here. Nope, that ain't making no difference. Oh, man. Oh, well, number one, because that's not where I control this at. I control it over here. All right, let me scroll down. Perfect. That all men think and care about is sex, so much so that they always want it all the damn time. That monogamy is the only healthy union. Polyamory is also healthy when all adults involved agree. And absolutely, like that becomes the real thing. What I now question, if I was answering this, is I question the idea that there's just one way to do relationships and that anybody has like a monopoly on that one way. I think relationships should be, stop telling Sister Mary doing her thing, let her get her back blown out every now and then. That's what she wanted, but no, like I begin to realize, like, no, like relationships should be determined by the people in those relationships, not by the opinions of the people outside of those relationships, outside of extremes. And of course, I have to say that, because there's some stuff out there. There's some stuff out there. All right, so we're going to move on a little bit. We're going to come back because we got a few more questions to get through today. So now we're gonna move on talking into a little bit. We kind of talked about origin. Let's talk about formation, which is like not just how we're introduced. It's just how we're introduced to sex and sexual identity, not just how we identify, but how we identify with sex. So sexual exposure is when you encounter sexual content, sexual language. Oh, I got to make this small again. Encounter sexual content, sexual language, bodies, rules, images, jokes, warnings, or experiences. Like I can remember coming across my granny's porn, and I'm like, "What is Granny doing with porn?" The first porn I saw was in my granny's room. That's weird. That's weird. But like, so sexual exposure is when you encounter these things, but sexual formation is how those encounters shape your expectations, how they shape your shame, how they shape your identity, your boundaries, your consent, your desire, and sense of responsibility. So I said, go Granny. Some of us ain't got no boundaries. A person can be sexually exposed, and I think this is a really good line here. A person can be sexually exposed and still sexually undereducated. and I think I think that's a line I could have benefited from growing up, that it is possible to be sexually exposed and still sexually undereducated. Watch this. It's possible to be sexually experienced and still sexually undereducated. They can know the language, they can know the positions, they can look up all the Kama Sutra that they want to, they can know the jokes, the fantasies, the taboos, but still not know how to communicate, how to consent, how to set boundaries, how to honor another person's body, or how to understand their own. And boundaries is such a hard thing for so many people, because some of us ain't got none. Don't know how to set boundaries, don't know what's too far against us, because we're always prioritizing other people's status. This is, real thing. But so the thing is how to sex education was so much about, how not to get this, that it didn't focus on how to communicate, how to consent, how to set boundaries, how to honor another person's body, and how to understand your own. So I'm going to pull up another poll question. This is a poll question. That means this one where you can answer in the chat with your number. You can answer in the chat with your number. But this one is, where did you first learn what sex was? And again, you can answer in the chat with your number. And we got a few options. The options, did you first learn what sex was through guided teaching? And guided teaching could be home, it could be school, it could be church, it could be a trusted adult, it could be homeschool. Did you first learn what sex was from social learning, which that could be friends, that could be music, that could be movies, or that could be pop culture? Did you first learn from private discovery, which could be the internet, it could be porn, it could be curiosity? Or did you first learn from personal experience, which means you learned by being in situations before you even had the language, safety, or maturity to fully understand them? We're getting some diversity in the chat now. We're getting some diversity in these answers. Let me biggie size this so I can kind of see what these numbers are doing. Yeah. Man, that's okay. I was wondering, was social learning gonna get any love? And it did. Social learning got some love indeed. Good love in there. Is that Blackstreet? I think so. All right, so we got 29% at guided teaching right now. So 29% of our voters are saying that they first learned what sex was from home, either through their parents or through school, sex education school, from church. Yeah, because some churches do that, or a trusted adult. I have some questions there, like not in a bad way, just in a curious way. Then there's we got 22% at social learning, which means, I first learned what sex was through friends, which I actually expected that one to be a little higher, because I just know around my friend group, which it still wasn't my first introduction, but around my younger friend groups, sex was a big conversation. But friends, music, movies, or pop culture. And I mean, like, especially if you're in the VH1 MTV generation. And then, oh my goodness, what was that thing that used to come on BET late at night? Oh, what was that? It was something that used to come on BET Uncut. Was that what it was? Like, I wish I could remember what it was. But it was something came on BET late at night. If you know. All right. It came on like right after Comic View. Yeah, I think it was BET Uncut. I think it was. And then interesting here, we have 55% private discovery, which again, either the internet, the porn, internet, porn, or curiosity. Which of course, I'm young enough to remember when there were magazines, and it was magazines and VHS. And then when the internet came out, oh boy. And then for a while, it was like what was it, AOL chats. Them AOL I am chats, bro. Like, woof, they gave chat rooms a bad name. A bad name. We were very fortunate to have a very sex positive family that found it important to give us a comprehensive academic sex education very early. I love that. I love that. Like, I think we need more of that. I think we need more of that. This is beautiful. All right. Okay, so we got through that one. All right, so now we're going to another interactive question. We're going to another interactive question, which means I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to move this over to our next question. And this question is, what shaped your early understanding of sex the most? And this is the question. These are the questions. Oh, let me move the poll. The poll is blocking you. And if you've already pulled up the link, then you should already have access. If you don't have access, don't worry about it. Scan that QR code and you can get right back in there. I had to remember where I was at. I'm on the second one. So we're going to hide. All right. So what shaped your early understanding of sex the most? And so this one, you can visit the link on the screen and your answers will pop up as we go. Churches, Skinamax. Oh my goodness. Y'all remember Skinamax? Well, let's see. There was, oh no, HBO, Real Sex. Then Showtime had Red Shoe Diaries. I feel like I'm missing some other ones. There was like Lady Chamberlain Mysteries, Wildlife Biology. Yeah. What was that? National Geographic. National Geographic was like poor man's porn. That's a clippable moment. Skinamax indeed. Oh my goodness. And it looks like we're starting to get some answers. Okay, so which shaped your early understanding of sex the most? Religion, peers, porn, pop culture, family, science, personal experience. We have porn. We have curiosity and self-exploration, which to me, that's always a win. Like I like that one. We have porn again. We have anime, hentai. Should I say more? But no, anime like has always, like as far as I've seen, and I don't know, maybe I'm just biased to the more sexually charged ones, but anime has always seemed just very sexually charged to me. Like I loved like Voltron, Sailor Moon, Gundam Warriors, something like that. Dang it, I wish I could remember them. They're way back in the day. But then even up to like Dragon Ball Z, which I know some people say it's not anime. I still count it as anime. But you got people like Bulma and Chi-Chi, and it's like, oh, they're drawing these people in a certain way now. Abuse, family silence, religion, personal research. Wow. Like, and that's another one. That's another one. The abuse aspect, the silence aspect, the being introduced to things before you're ready to be introduced. All of the above. Big booty red bones on the interwebs. Lord. I did not expect that. I didn't. See, this is why I don't know if we could be doing these interactive chats anymore, because y'all are wilding. But no, this is good. And it looks like we have a few more people that are gonna put in. I had family members come in and I missed out on the anime stuff. But yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy. I did say it was not safe for work. I did say it. And so while we're getting a few more answers in, we can talk a little bit about distortion, about how does sex and sexual identity shift from something natural to something sacred. And this was like a question for my own personal crying at big booty red bones, bro. Like that, look, like real tears, man. That should be a song though. Big booty red bones. What was it? Now I found you, Miss New Booty. I remember that one. Okay. But just and while some more answers are coming in, religion, yes, the altar. Yeah, it was the Lord for me. It was the Lord. Have mercy type of situation. But the shift from sex as a natural biological function to a sacred concept is a profound sociological and psychological transformation. It's the process of moving from instinct to meaning. In a strictly natural sense, sex is an evolutionary mechanism for reproduction and pair bonding, driven by hormones and neurochemistry. I hate to boil sex down like this for y'all. I had to answer one of my curiosities, so now y'all are getting it from me. However, when a culture labels it sacred, they're moving it out of the realm of biology and into the realm of identity and morality. Ultimately, the shift to the sacred is a human attempt to give extraordinary value to an ordinary biological function. It is how we turn a reflex into a relationship and an instinct into an identity. And the reason that question was interesting to me, as far as the distortion aspect, the reason why I wanted to ask that question, because I realized that a lot of the harm that comes from our sexual identities is this sacralization of sexuality. Well, sex is sacred. And it's like, I'm okay with the word sacred once I know how we're defining it. Because the way we often define sacred things is predetermined, predestined, predefined by some external factor. And to me, that's dangerous. So then we take something that is completely natural, completely biological, has some neurochemical aspects going on, some sociological phenomena going on, and then we take it and try to force it into this box of superstition. And superstitious box just don't ever really work. They don't work. You can't use those in real life. All right, so let me go back over here to the biggie board and see. Yep, there it is. Okay, I'm gonna go back just to read this one just for fun. Big booty red bones on the interwebs. Lord, I wish I could do a John Witherspoon impersonation, because I'd love to hear Pops from Boondocks. I'd love to hear that in Pops from Boondocks voice. I think that's what he would say. I think that's what he would say. But anime and fandom culture, yeah, I was introduced to BL, I was introduced to GL until later in life. Okay, gotcha. I wasn't introduced to GL until later in life. Wow. I really am curious, what does it qualify as if you walk in on a same aged peer self-exploring, then you both go look at porn? Is that self-discovery or abuse? Oof. That one got heavy. That's what we open ourselves up for. I want to see y'all's answer to that in the chat, because the goal of today's conversation is not to operate in expertise, but to operate from a place of shared experience. And so today, we are all we're all equal. What is it? Chief among equals. That's what we are today. So, like, I want to hear from you all. And it's the last response that's up here. I don't know if y'all can see my mouse or not. I can see it. I don't know if y'all can see it. But it's I really am curious, what does it qualify as if you walk in on a same aged peer self-exploring and then you both go look at porn? Is that self-discovery or is that abuse? I'd love to hear your answers about this in the chat. What are your opinions? And please do me a favor, try not to frame your opinions as authority. Just like, hey, my opinion is, from my perspective, I think. But I think that'll be this is a great moment, because this is what we're talking about today, is safe sex. And what does it mean? What does safety mean? Someone says, if it was consensual, self-discovery. If not, then yikes. You know, y'all know yikes is one of my favorite terms. But like, yeah, if this is consensual, you know, hey, what you doing? I can say some really crass stuff. I tried not to be as crass on Sundays. I think if you both agreed to go watch, then it is self-discovery, not abuse. I like that. I agree. That brings up such a good question. And this is one of the things why I do try to be very mindful of not creating a grievance culture in the way that we do community. Because a lot of things don't become abuse in our memories until the stigma of shame is attached. And I'm not saying all things, I'm saying a lot of things, you know. I think abuse in that sense requires some sense of social pressure. Oh, that's good. If it's an adult, then there is an inherent pressure, but between peers, it's more likely just messy. I like that. How you felt about it matters. Were you comfortable or felt pressured? This is good. Y'all are so awesome. It's natural if you're just curious, just ask, what are you doing and why is it important to you? It sounds entirely accidental with our limited experience, very awkward, but like if you then watch together, that's consent, that's good and not abuse. Like provided it is there is consent, of course. I was raised by people who gave me an open line of communication. I love that, man. Like, do you see that? Like, and this is what I mean by shared experience. Like, none of us have to be have to be an expert to be able to share something from our own experiences that helps someone else get a better point of reference about, whatever it is they're dealing with, rethinking. So and so whoever put that one up, thank you for providing that. It was a great discussion moment. And I hope the answers in the chat have been helpful for you. Maybe mutual discovery if one is not pressuring the other. I love it. And so we got one of the answers in there. This is, man, I freaking love this app that we're using. I see some more. Let me drop this. I got to come over here to scroll. I felt obliged to confess to parents. I felt obliged to confess to parents, and they were Christians and painted it as abuse. But now I look back on it as consent. Wow. That's, and I wonder how often that happens, Oh, I wonder how often that happens. Because of course, like we went through, like my generation, when the internet was just coming aboard, we definitely went through this scare period where everything got framed as anything, and it's a hard conversation to have. Man, shaming people for natural curiosity seems to be a Christian stable. Yes. I've been Thank you, Bob. I've been lurking for much of this prudish prudish still a holdover from childhood indoctrination and Catholic shame, but kudos to the openness of everyone who has been sharing. Everything was the devil. I was sure the devil had got me. He had got me. Oh man. No, thank you all for sharing so openly. And again, that's what makes these conversations so powerful. Like, that's what makes these conversations helpful for others. All right, so let's move on to our next poll question. So I'm gonna move on from this question. I'm pulling back up the poll. Da-na-na-na. And we are moving on to, let me scroll down. There we go. So this next question is, because we open up with what shaped your early understanding of sex the most? And so now I want to ask you, like, what did those sources get wrong? And this is looking at your own experience, thinking about your own life. What did the sources that you were introduced to sex, what did they really get wrong? And I got a few options. Number one, did they teach you rules without understanding? Did they teach desire without responsibility? Did they teach fantasy without reality? Or did they ultimately just leave you alone to figure it out by yourself? Yeah. Did they teach rules without understanding? Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Why? Because I said so. Did they teach desire without responsibility? That I think someone mentioned something to that effect earlier, that men just want sex all the time. That's all the thing men want. Men, they can't control themselves. That's that desire without responsibility. Fantasy without reality. Oh, everything is just gonna be nice and slow and soft and beautiful, or everything is gonna be painful. What do those sources get wrong? I'm loving it. Like nice little staircase up there. 1 and 4 went hand in hand. Wow, the rules without understanding, and you're right. Yeah, because if you give me the rules without the understanding, then I am forced to have to go figure this out by myself. Because and oftentimes, what I've come to realize is that people who give rules without understanding don't have the understanding themselves. You know, that it was so clinical that it had no emotional or connective aspects. Sex is a process like any other. Figure out the nuance for yourself. That's a good one. That's a good one. Man, I think for me, it was definitely the rules without understanding, which definitely led to the figure it out alone. And I do think as far as pop culture, I did get that fantasy without reality. You know, I spent like the first part of my life as the hopeless romantic type of person, just really thinking that setting the right atmosphere, doing the right things, like these things made a difference. And I'm like, yeah, in movies, when the other character knows that that's what they're supposed to be responding to. But when you're dealing with real people with real issues, real traumas, you know, and stuff like that, it doesn't always work the same way. You need the code again for the interactive question or the poll. For the poll question, you just put in the numbers, but I'll put up. Oh yeah, but you can scan the QR code on the. Let me get over here. You can scan this QR code right here to get back to the thing, and I'll put it back up because we're getting ready to go to another interactive question. All right, and we finally got one to hit it too, the desire without responsibility. I love that. But it seems by far and large, what's leading this poll is the idea that, you know, no, I gotta figure this out alone. And it does show you that in many ways, even times when people were trying to get, oh dang, they're going this side, even when people were trying to give information, they're not always giving the information. They're not always actually giving information, right? They're just giving you things that that might be what it is. They're giving information that's scripted, all right? Speaking of which, that leads us to our next interactive question. So I'm going to take my poll off the screen. Yoink. I'm just going to, I didn't mean to do that, but I did it. All right. So, and then what is one sexual belief you inherited that you later had to unlearn? And I'm pulling back up my screen and I'm going to slide to the next question. Slide City, do you know what that means? I do not. I've heard the song and I don't know what it means. And I'm sure someone is going to educate me. All right. So what is one sexual belief you inherited that you later had to unlearn? And again, you can scan either of the QR codes that you see on the screen, or you can go to that website link and put in that code number. And that might have been what you were asking me for, like that specific code number. But it's there now. And while y'all are answering, I'm going to read a little bit of information. And again, oh yeah, I see some answers popping in already. And the question is, what is one sexual belief you inherited that you had to unlearn? While y'all are doing that, I want to read this. Sexual script theory. If you're a note taker, that's a good thing to write down. Sexual script theory, which was developed by John Gagnon and William Simon, argues that people do not simply naturally know how to act sexually. Like that's a whole breathing moment right there. All right. So these researchers, they say, these sexual theorists, they say, or they argue, people do not simply naturally know how to act sexually. I think that is a truism. They learn scripts from culture, relationships, gender expectations, religion, media, law. That's a major one, and personal experience. These scripts shape what people think sex is, who is supposed to initiate, what counts as desirable, what counts as shameful, and what roles people are supposed to perform. Most of us did not just learn facts about sex. We inherited scripts. Purity culture handed us a script. Porn handed us a script. Pop culture handed us a script. Our friends handed us a buttload of scripts. Trauma may have handed quite a few scripts. And the question this weekend is not just, did you learn about sex? The question is, who wrote the script you've been trying to live from? And so we can simplify that theory into 3 levels. And I'm loving these answers coming in. Look at there. We have cultural scripts, and that's what the larger culture says sex means. But then we also have relational scripts, which are the things that we learn from our partners, from our peers, from our family, from our church, our schools, and our communities. And then we also have these internal scripts, what we start believing about our own body, our own desirability, our own shame, our own gender, our power, and our worth. With just reading that one makes me want to go to the gym. That's how those internal scripts work. It's what you start believing about your own body. Like as soon as I read that sentence, I was like, what I believe is I need to get in the gym and tighten up like ASAP. Yes. Oh man, I'm loving this. 2 people become one and mesh become a single unit together. Yep. Sex is a choice. Orientation is not a choice. Man, that men have an insatiable sexual appetite that is constant threat, so it's my job to avoid it. Yes. Gaslit scripts from shitty partners. Man. All right, so let me get over here to our answers on our board. And see here that certain kinks were shameful. Yes, absolutely. That was definitely one I had to learn, which I was making a bunch of jokes about it last year and a lot of my content, like who am I to kink shame? And that was one of the ways of me working with getting used to removing shame from anybody else's appetites. Like it just shouldn't have anything to do with me at all. Like I don't eat watermelon. I don't like it. I hate the taste that it leaves in my mouth. It tastes good when you're eating it, but like when you burp that stuff back up, it is disgusting. And so I don't like watermelon. But like I'm not about to be watermelon shaming other people. And so if I wouldn't watermelon shame anybody else, why am I kink shaming? So no, I love that. And actually, yeah, I can pull over here so I can still actually see the chat while I'm doing this because I don't like losing the chat. I like being able to see y'all. All right, another one is that you have to have sex at all. That's right. There are people who are asexual. That's right. Like, and again, that's I do think that one of the downfalls of purity culture is that it overglorified sex into something beyond what it actually is. And I mean, I think that's led to a lot of damaging places with people from what I've seen, you know. Sha said they'll gladly eat all of the fresh watermelon I don't want. Oh man, I love that. Y'all are hilarious. It never ceases to surprise me what people raised in religion were actually taught as children. It shouldn't, but it does, right? That it wasn't actually sex that changed you, but the connection you have or had with the person. Oh yeah, like man, there was so much stuff out there at the time, like soul ties and stuff like that. Ooh, that my sexuality is shameful, evil, dirty, and unacceptable. Man, and I'm so glad that these are things that we are unlearning. This is them soul ties, bro. Them soul ties. You know how many deliverance ceremonies they had in Pentecostal churches where Sister Susie is getting delivered from like 8 soul ties. And I'm like, after a while, like y'all just embarrassing her. Y'all doing her like Maury Povich used to do them people, like because Maury Povich used to do the little. You are not the father. I think after you've been delivered, when you've been delivered from 8 soul ties in a service, I think somebody just trying to put your business on blast. Another answer, the one, yes. That sex does not equal babies. Ovulation does. Come on now. Yes, let's teach these people timing, all right? Sounds like an interesting shaming technique. Absolutely. I'm half asleep and I woke up like Crockett from Fairly Odd Parents. That is hilarious. This idea that you have a single person out of billions you're meant to be. Oh, it drives me crazy. I sent you the email after telling you I want to hear your insight and still reply. Wes, I actually did reply. Check your spam. But yeah, so no, I love this. Sex does not equal babies. Yes. That if you had sex before marriage, especially women, then you were a used up rag and weren't desirable for marriage. Now, isn't that like how horrible is that? How horrible is that? That double standard is so strong. Cause like and I pause at that one because that is widespread. It's not just a few people here or there. That shit is widespread. Where we've created a culture so like encroached into these patriarchal norms that like it's honestly I've seen older women grooming younger women to think this way. You know, like it breaks my heart. You're used up rag and aren't desirable for marriage. Bruh, how do you explain the Kardashians? Now let me stop. I wasn't supposed to go there, but I just had to. I had to. Oh man. Oh, this is hilarious. I got shamed for depriving the purity code of the opportunity to shame me. I love that. Chewed gum. Yes. Yes. Like, and that's just like that's horrible. That's horrible. Status shaming. Man. Whew. Dang that. Like that, just sitting with that is rough. Okay. My mom had me outside of marriage, and the church ostracizes and disfellowships people who have had sex outside of marriage. And like I've seen that happen. And not only have I seen that happen, um, I've also seen the mistreat the children of those unions. Obvious answer from purity culture upbringing had to unlearn that sex is strictly for within marriage and would cast judgment on all other contexts of sex. And that was something that I had to kind of go through my own breakthrough with when I was deconverting. Like, why do I have an opinion on other people's sexual preferences if they not preferring to have sex with me? Like, what am I why are my opinions over there with their preferences, and their preferences ain't anywhere near me, you know? And that if you sleep with someone, you will take on their energy. There it is, a soul tie, and your life will most likely become chaotic. Let's go ahead and add another. Queerdom equals hypersexual promiscuity. Yes. Oh yeah, like I think like I would have definitely defined myself as hypersexual prior to deconverting, but man, like this just being able to get away from that type of culture like has made a world of a difference. A world of a difference. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of wrap this up. I'm gonna pull this down for now. Thank you for these answers. I hope I haven't missed any. I think I got all of them for this one. All right. So the question now becomes then, what are we learning now that we're recovering our sexual autonomy? Now, UNESCO defines comprehensive sexual education as helping young people develop knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values that support health, dignity, respect for relationships, well-being, and rights. But I really wish we'd stop treating sex education as a young people problem. Maybe, I mean, it could be just me. It could be just me. And maybe this is one of the things that Bridge City kind of can help with. Sex education is not a young people problem. One of the main reasons sex education is a young people problem is because of the older people who are raising them have not been properly educated. So it's like we can't just keep starting with the kids. We need to make this a people problem, But WHO summarizes the evidence by saying high quality comprehensive sexuality education can delay sexual initiation, reduce sexual risk taking, increase contraceptive use, and does not increase sexual activity or encourage earlier sexual behavior. They also note that programs addressing both delaying sex and contraceptive uses are more effective than abstinence only programs, which I think like we've all known that abstinence only programs are failures. Okay. I've been in the stairwells after those programs. I can tell you what goes down. All right. It ain't abstinence. You don't get all them babies in church if abstinence is working. You don't get all of the stories about people being shamed from church if abstinence was working. You wouldn't have that much to preach about if abstinence was working. All right. So healthy sexual formation is not the absence of standards. It's the presence of clarity, the presence of safety, the presence of boundaries, responsibilities, and wholeness. And so I got one more poll question for you today. And let me get over here to it. Nope, that's the wrong one. Don't look at that one. Don't look at that one. It's this one. There we go. All right. What would healthier sexual formation prioritize? And I have a few options for here. Would healthier sexual formation prioritize clarity, which means I need honest, age-appropriate information? Would it prioritize safety, which means I need room to ask without shame or fear? Would it prioritize boundaries, which means like I needed guidance on consent, on pressure, and respect? Or would it be wholeness? I needed help understanding body, desire, emotions, and intimacy. And again, for this one, you just drop your number that corresponds to the question in the chat. This is a poll question. What would healthier sexual formation prioritize? We're getting them in there. Dang, two is winning it already. Two is like really winning it. Somebody said 1, 2, 3, and 4. I need all of them. Give me all of them. All that and a bag of chips. Yes. Dang. Yes. Safety. And that's so like I didn't think 2 was gonna hit like that, but no, I needed room to ask without shame or fear. But in clarity, come on in, clarity, coming in on the behind. On the behind. Did I mean it like that? But come on in, clarity. Yes, I needed honest, age-appropriate information. I love it. Everything. I needed all of the above. I needed guidance on consent, pressure, and respect. Yes, I needed help understanding body, desire, emotions, and intimacy. Come on now. Because the reality is like shame is not education, silence is not protection, fear is not maturity, and exposure is not formation. Like this is awesome. All right. And so finally, I have one other interactive question for you. One more interactive question, and then we can close this rodeo down. I'll share let me remove the poll first, and then I'll share my screen. Hide poll. Sharing screen. And here's the last question of the evening. What is one thing you wish someone had taught you about sex before you became sexually active? Yep. What is one thing you wish someone had taught you about sex before you became sexually active? So many of us were hurt with shame and guilt. It stopped us from asking questions, learning boundaries, and feeling safe and whole in the self, hence the need for safety as foundation. Absolutely. Human behavior is not as complicated as we make it out to be. Just enjoy people. That's beautiful. Safety is needed for clarity. Clarity is needed for boundaries and wholeness. Come on now. Like we're coming up with a whole new theory of sexual engagement. And I am here for every bit of it. So what is one thing you wish someone had taught you about sex before you became sexually active? And again, many people are not sexually immature because they're irresponsible. They're sexually immature because they were sexually undereducated, they were miseducated, or worse, shame educated. In other words, sexual responsibility has rarely been responsibly centered. Our goal is to explore the difference between sexual exposure and sexual education. A person can be exposed to a lot of sexual content and still have no real education around consent, emotional readiness, communication, safety, contraception, boundaries, power dynamics, or self-respect. And these are things that in a community, because I often have this saying, it's really hard to be free thinking without being free loving. So in a community where you have so many free thinkers, this conversation has to be platformed. The platform of conversation around healthy consent, enthusiastic consent, ongoing consent, around boundaries, around the difference between being exposed and being educated is highly important. Ooh, that desire isn't shameful. That's beautiful. That celibacy is not healthy. Come on. So what is it what is one thing you wish someone had taught you about sex before you became sexually active? Because a lot of us were not taught about sex. We were warned about it. We were shamed about it. We were sold fantasies about it. We were entertained by it, threatened over it, aroused by it, and then expected to magically become healthy adults with healthy intimacy. Let me check out some of these answers here. Yeah, I actually have a latex allergy as well that I found out unfortunately later in my life. And I guess I developed it later. So oh yeah, I forgot I can read these over here so that I don't have to kick the chat out because I love seeing the chat. All right. That it's okay to know what feels good on your own body if you haven't been allowed to safely explore. That is so good. That is so good. That the emotional toll sex has on you. Yeah, man, this is bigger than just body parts, you know. Man, sex is about pleasure and connection. If you're not already in a state of pleasure and connection with the other person, don't bother. Come on now. That's actually some pretty straightforward advice. That's like, I know quite a few people who could benefit from that advice right there. Like if you're not in the state of pleasure and you're not feeling the connection, maybe move on. How to actually say no. Ooh, and what is consent and what isn't consent. And that it's okay for women to say no. I mean, think about that, y'all. Like that's somebody's answer. That I wish somebody would have told me that it's okay to say no. And I wish I would have wished them I wish they would have told me how to actually say no. Man. Shame is used much more as a shield for abuse than as control of behavior. If you want to have a culture without the abuse, we should use something other than shame to ensure good action. That's so good. I like that. Like we're bringing out the good stuff today. That no is a period. Oh man. That I wouldn't go to hell for exploring with both sexes. In fact, hell doesn't even exist. Come on now. To always wear protection because HPV exists. That sex does not equals love. Like and I want everybody who's participating as a parent to think about these things, because basically what we all just did is we all just had like this conversation with our younger selves. That's what we just did throughout this whole conversation today, is walk back through what we would have needed from our parents at that time, or what we would have desired from our parents, and not in a way that says, hey, these people were wrong. This weekend is not about blaming everyone who taught us poorly. Like that's just really not the goal. Some of them were poorly taught too. But at some point, we have to stop letting unreliable teachers keep writing our sexual scripts. Purity culture may have taught contradiction. Silence may have taught secrecy, but healthier formation can still teach clarity. It can still teach safety. It can still teach boundaries. And most importantly, wholeness. And maybe the work now is not just becoming less ashamed of sex, but becoming more responsible, more honest, more humane, and more whole in how we understand it, how we approach each other, how we support each other. And I think the more we pull these conversations out of the shadows, the more we are willing to confront the dynamics of sex, sexuality, sexual identity in our culture in a way that is not attached to shame, the more we empower the people in our society to live in their fullest truths. And that's the power of community for me. And so if you're not a part of a community, guess what I'm about to ask you to do? I'm about to ask you to consider joining our community. Number one, because we have conversations like this. If you enjoy conversations like this, at least once a month, we have a roundtable discussion led by our head of community and sometime other people in our communities where this is exactly what they do. And we're getting ready to start rolling out small groups as well so that we have these things going on weekly, bi-weekly, monthly to help people really talk about the things that are important to them. Sunday sessions are just a microcosm of what we're building. This is just the lighthouse. This is just the way we let people know how you get to the bridge. Okay, this is the lighthouse to the bridge. But once you get here, there's so many things happening. And I do encourage you, don't show up just to consume, show up to contribute, to collaborate, to co-create, because that's what makes community wonderful. Look at the way we co-created this conversation today in a way that was incredibly helpful, I believe, to everybody who participated. So if you're ready to be a part of the change that is making change, then join Bridge City today. And now I'm handing it over to the next steps. And so we're going to let Jude take it from here.
What an incredible session. Today, we're just scratching the surface of what it means to have brave, honest, non-judgmental conversations about sex, sexuality, intimacy, desire, shame, secrecy, consent, boundaries, and relational complexity beyond purity culture, patriarchal conditioning, religious guilt, pop culture distortion, and performative liberation. So I want to hear from you. What was your light bulb moment today? Drop it in the comments right now, or head over to the Commons on the global campus to keep the conversation going. Speaking of moving the conversation forward, if you're making the decision to officially join Bridge City today, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Bridge. We don't believe in gatekeeping community. If you found freedom here, if this conversation gave you language for something you've carried quietly, or if you're looking for a space where people can think honestly, without shame doing all the talking, you belong here. Your first step is to follow the link on the screen. That's your portal to the global campus where you can transition from spectator to builder. And one of the best ways to start is through our free new member onboarding course. We've made your pathway easy with brief learning tracks that break down our mission, our model, and how to navigate the campus. By the time you finish your next steps, you won't just know about Bridge City, you'll know how to plug in, build relationships, and make an impact. Joining gives you access to member spaces, community conversations, specialized circles, and resources designed to help you connect better, build better, and live better. If you're ready to bridge the gap between where you are and where you're going, click that link. We can't wait to see you there. For the rest of us, if you value these weekly sessions and believe that post-religious community is worth building, let's create an opportunity for generosity. Your giving is about fueling the mission. It makes this space accessible, sustainable, and scalable. And right now, one of our major focuses is supporting local events that seed local community. Because conversations like this shouldn't only happen online. There are people in cities, campuses, living rooms, coffee shops, and community spaces who are searching for a place to think freely, heal honestly, and build relationships without religious shame or supernatural pressure. When you give, help us scale the bridge. You help us support watch parties, local meetups, community events, and real-world gatherings where people can move from isolation into association. We don't use guilt, we don't manipulate people into giving, and we don't promise supernatural rewards. We simply believe that if this mission matters, it deserves support. So whether it's weekly, monthly, or whenever you're able, your generosity helps us reach further, serve better, and build stronger. The link and QR code are on the screen. Thank you for making a statement of support today. You're helping this vision move from concept to community. And finally, of course, don't keep this to yourself. A bridge is only as effective as the places it goes. There are people right now searching for post-religious community. People who are trying to recover their bodies from shame. People who are trying to understand intimacy without purity culture. And people who are trying to build relationships without fear, secrecy, control, or inherited guilt. And some of them do not need another sermon. They need a safe, honest place to think. So, Share the replay. It's got a pretty banger song. Invite someone to the global campus, where I run vocal workshops occasionally. Start a conversation, host a watch party. Let somebody know that life beyond religious superstition doesn't have to mean life without community. So let's reach the world together. Thank you for joining us this weekend for the NSFW series. This is not the easiest conversation to have, and that's exactly why it matters. Sex, sexuality, and relational complexity deserve more than silence, fear, jokes, judgment, or recycled purity culture. So I hope today gave you something to think about, something to question, something to name, and maybe even something to handle with more care. To our visitors, I hope this conversation gave you something to carry with you this week. Remember, the first time you're a visitor, the second time you're a guest, and the third time you're as good as family. We can't wait to see you back here next weekend as we continue creating brave, honest, non-judgmental space for people moving beyond religious superstition toward human flourishing. To our members, don't let the conversation end here. Make sure to check the resource board where you can suggest movies for our monthly movie night, spotlight a charity, and even learn more about the teams making this community possible. There's so much happening behind the scenes to help us keep building better and living better together. And that's all for today, Bridge City. As you head out into your week, remember our core values: forward-thinking, people-centric, and life-affirming. Be forward-thinking enough to question inherited shame. Be people-centric enough to handle vulnerable conversations with care. And be life-affirming enough to build relationships, communities, and futures where people can become more whole, more honest, and more free. So until next time, keep rising, be the bridge.
Shame, 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 shame. I'm not your vessel for your shame game. Shame, 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 shame. I no longer hold the blame, yeah. What's my name, fool? I don't need you to justify my love, to justify my skin, to justify or mystify this human that I'm in. I don't need you to sanctify my purity or defend my security. I am invested in my surety now. I don't need your permission to be the perfect vision of all of my intentions. I am risen from your shame, 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 shame. I'm not your vessel for your shame game. Shame, 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 shame. I no longer hold the blame, yeah. What's my name? I came already. Can you see me now? Can you see me? Can What's my name for?